welcome to another episode of Larry's Rants, Raves, and Reviews! Now, it's the moment that you have all been waiting for. Here comes the man, the myth, the legend, my papa! Here's Larry!
Have you ever saw a child that was bashful or embarrassed that hid behind their mother's legs to keep from speaking or something? Well, we've looked at how the Republicans are hiding behind the Democratic Party and the rogue judges trying to appear that they are trying to help us, but it's all an act. It seems pretty hypocritical and sneaky to me. But I think the Republicans are acting this way, trying to get MAGA so frustrated that they will simply walk away, stop caring, stop voting, which will free up the uniparty to continue in their elite status. Now, folks, that statement that I just made right there would have been a perfectly good reason had I wanted to have 10 reasons why. That would have been a good standalone reason. So count that one in. But I think it's true. You see, people started trying to push the narrative that MAGA was falling apart, that MAGA was turning on Trump. But that's certainly not true. Absolutely not true. If anything, MAGA's eyes are open to the corruption that is in the government, and MAGA is losing hope for any change, for any future change. So that brings me to my fourth reason of why I believe the Republican Party wants to lose in the midterms. So here we go. Number 4, Republicans are not on Trump's side, including Thune and Johnson. Now, yes, in your mind, you're thinking, well, Larry, we've already covered this. Some of these thoughts, some of these reasons do overlap with one another, but each one of them will point to a specific topic of what I'm trying to say. You see, the Rhino leadership that was chosen, and I'm talking about Thune, I'm talking about McConnell and Johnson, are slow walking and blocking Trump's selections, his appointees, and his agenda. Make no mistake, this is done purposefully. It is not an accident. It is not them being cautious. It is them being purposefully. It's honestly as if the Republican Party isn't in control. But they are. And this is their real hidden agenda. That's what I keep saying, is they have a hidden agenda. They're hiding behind the skirt tails of the Democrats and these rogue judges hiding behind their robes and blaming and pointing the finger, but yet all the while, they're the ones to blame. They have the control, they have the power, and yet they refuse to do anything about it. I'll be so bold as to go out and say this. Thune and Johnson should be ashamed of themselves. They have failed us miserably. They have failed the MAGA party that gave them total control, and they have failed America. Thune is deliberately slow walking all of Trump's appointments. He knows. Thune knows for a fact that Trump will appoint true conservatives. Unlike him, being the rhino that he is, Trump will appoint true conservatives that could last in place for many, many years. And that position with a true conservative in it would advance the MAGA agenda. And that's the last thing that John Thune wants. Do you recognize that Thune is so evil and corrupt that he has refused to recess so he could block President Trump from doing what is called recess appointments? Now, recess appointments are when the Senate goes on their August summer recess, their break, their vacation, and the law allows the president to appoint judges during that time. It's happened for years, but not with Rhino Thune in charge. Now, on a side note, August recess only started years ago. In fact, it started back in the 1970s. And do you know why? Because the Senate chambers were not air conditioned at that time. And therefore, they started taking their August off due to the heat. August in Washington, D.C. is the hottest, the most humid at that time. And so, to help the Senate, it was too hot to do business in the chambers, so they decided to start taking a recess. That's the reason why. It's not even the law. It just is something that we started and have continued to do over the years. Now, this recess that we're talking about lasts 4 to 5 weeks. And during that recess, other presidents have been allowed that while the Senate is in recess, they do what is known as recess appointments. But Rhino Thune hates Trump. He hates MAGA. And I'm not so for sure if he doesn't hate America. In fact, let me just go ahead and say it. He hates America. And he wants to handcuff and block and stop President Trump and the MAGA movement and the America First agenda. Now, let me ask you, wouldn't it be great if the House and the Senate would work an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job and given a 2-week vacation, just like you and I? Is it asking too much for the elite establishment that's in Washington to work just like the rest of us? Is it asking too much for them to have a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job just like I have? In fact, as a small business owner, I got to tell you, I'd love to have that 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. An hour ago, before I started this recording, I was at my restaurant taking care of some stuff on the weekend. Is it asking too much for those elite people to just be more common like we are? Yes, it is. Because they have an elite mind, an elite status that they will not give up for anything. But instead, they take off enormous amounts of time. Get this, they take off enormous amounts of time. They pass laws, and then what? Those very laws that you and I have to live under and abide by. Guess what? They exempt themselves from living under the same laws as we, the people. How on God's green earth did that ever get started? How did we ever allow that to happen? If our government and the people in it that's there to serve us was looking out for our best interest, don't you think that they would abide by the same laws that they are passing? They would abide by them just like you and I. What makes them so wonderful? What makes them so elite? What makes them so grand that they feel like we're better than you? We can exempt ourselves from it. But we, the people, in other words, in their eyes, the little peons, the little people, we don't stand a chance. Well, let me get back to my idea of recess appointments. Let me show you some numbers here. President Ronald Reagan, who I believe is the greatest president in the history of our country. Do you know that he had 240 recess appointments? H.W. Bush, read my lips, he had 77 recess appointments. Bill Clinton, 139. Barack Hussein Obama, well, poor little guy, he only had 32. But that's because he didn't have to have all those recess appointments because he had control of the Senate and the House, and they were slapping those bills through, and he would say, I want to appoint this person. Bam, it went through. Bam, it went through. I mean, they were rocking and rolling. So he didn't have to have all the recess appointments. He didn't have to wait. But guess how many Donald Trump has? 0. Because Thune will not recess the Senate. He goes and he has somebody gavel in, and then they gavel out. And he never calls for a complete recess because he knows if he does, President Trump will begin to appoint the wonderful judges that are needed. I forget, and I'm going from the top of my head, which is kind of dangerous, I know, but I think there's close to like 200 empty seats for judges at the time of this recording. But that means nothing to Thune, because all he's trying to do is throttle Donald Trump back and keep him from putting any good conservative in the courts. Let me ask you this question. Do you remember when the Democrats were able to get a DEI SCOTUS Supreme Court justice? She was confirmed, and yet she was so dumb, so stupid, that she couldn't even give us the definition of a woman. And she was confirmed when the Democrats only had 50 in the Senate. But thanks to the rhinos, Romney, Collins, and Murkowski, they got her passed. They jumped in and took care of it. Yet today, ladies and gentlemen, the GOP, the Republicans, has 53 senators and can't even get election integrity passed. Now, folks, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a scam. It's a scam. They could get it passed if they wanted to, but they don't want it to. Republicans do not want to pass these bills that will salvage America because they are helping to run the scam against our country and against we the people. Thune refuses to nuke the filibuster. However, everyone knows that when the Democrats get back into power, that will be the first thing to go. Mark my words. The Democrats will come in, that filibuster will go right out the back door. Mark my words. Vice President J.D. Vance says that every conservative must remember they cannot be afraid to act because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whatever the conservatives do. The Democrats do not care. They do what they want, how they want, when they want, whether it's legal or not. I mean, they can do stuff that's illegal, get a slap on the hand, it's done, it's over, no one goes to jail, there's never any charges. We just go right on with life. John Thune says, oh, we're all aligned. But I'll say it again. I said it a couple of episodes ago. He's a snake that is only aligned with the deep state and the Democrats. And he tries to appear as if he's hard at work for the American people, but don't be fooled. Please, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me on this episode. Don't be fooled. Thune is doing just the opposite. He's a traitor. We have a country to salvage from the very jaws of communism, and yet he doesn't care. His elite attitude, his greed for money, his massive appetite for power is what drives him. Here's what I can say about John Thune. He is Mitch McConnell 2.0. He's the new and improved Mitch McConnell. Thune is not on Trump's side. He's not on America's side. He is doing everything he can to give a false appearance of being helpful while doing everything possible to sabotage Trump behind the scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, when these rhinos sabotage President Trump, they're also sabotaging our country. That's point number 4, so let me go on to point number 5. Point number 5 is the fact that rhinos and Republicans are on the same team. Let me say it this way. Republicans and Democrats are on the same team. That team is corruption, and I've got to say it couldn't be more obvious. Here's my point. It really doesn't matter who's in the majority because the uniparty will control everything. You see, we know the Democrats are out to destroy our country. But the Republicans are just better hypocrites at it. They hide their disdain. But we're uncovering their greed and their wealth and their power, their hunger for that power. Here's what I'll tell you. The uniparty plays us for fools. Absolute fools. And we bought into it for all these years. You know, I got to tell you that in August, I will turn 67. And I used to think this country was so phenomenal, and I still do. The country is phenomenal. Our government sucks. They're corrupt. They're horrible. And they cannot be trusted. And now I have to wonder, after 67 years of life, how long has this corruption gone back and I ignored it until my eyes became open to see the insanity that is setting in Washington, D.C. and running our country? You see, the uniparty plays us for fools. I've read several reports that are now coming out that GOP Senator Majority Leader John Thune has been secretly meeting with Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats plotting ways to obstruct and block the agenda of President Trump. Now, what they've been meeting on in secret include things such as keeping the filibuster in place. Oh, I'm sure Chuck is saying, hey, if you don't get rid of it, we won't. Pat him on the back, pat him on the back. Liar. You will too. Some of those secret meetings include undermining his tariffs. Again, we have control, ladies and gentlemen. Why haven't we stepped in, the Republican Party? Why haven't they stepped in and made these things law to where President Trump didn't have to do it as an executive order? We could have made them law. Undermining tariffs. We've paid tariffs to different countries for years. Isn't it time for these other countries to start paying us? And yet the rogue judges that all the liberal presidents, Hussein and Otto Penn, 3 terms, got put in place, now they're fighting the president who's fighting for you and I, we the people. They're sabotaging his administration on the war efforts in Iran. I've got to tell you, today I watched a video that showed George Bush, Hussein, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, all talking about the straits and how they could not allow Iran to close it down. Every one of those presidents stepped up. In fact, I think Bill Clinton even was in on this video. And in different speeches that they spliced together, each one of them said it. Guess what? No one said a word about this until Donald Trump actually said, I'm going to do something about it. Now, I'll tell you what, I may not like everything that Donald Trump does, and I certainly don't like the way that he does it sometimes or what he says. But here's what I can tell you. You can go to the bank on this one. Bet your last bottom dollar on this one. If Donald Trump says, if you do this, I'm going to do this, you better believe him, because he is a man of his word and he gets the job done. He doesn't pull any punches. If he says, if you punch me this way, I promise I'm going to punch you this way. And he gets it done. You see, these secret late night meetings have reportedly been happening since the beginning of President Trump's second term. It's now alleged that Thune plays a big part in the Rhino coup to take back the Republican Party from President Trump and the MAGA movement. Thune has been accused of being financially compromised by communist China, and Thune is considered by many, many people as a traitor and needs to be removed from office. He doesn't have to be the leader, ladies and gentlemen, but he'll remain the leader, which will show you and I how corrupt the Republican Party truly is. How many of them are in on it? Because if all of them wasn't in on it, we'd have the majority to get rid of him and set him down. A lot of people believe that Republicans are holding back on passing bills and taking action out of fear of retaliation from Democrats. They've been doing this for decades, wanting to play nice and show their stupidity and allowing the liberals to take full control of the government. Let me tell you something. I don't like to fight. I really don't. But here's what I can tell you about myself. I don't believe in fighting fair. Never have understood the concept. Not at all. If you pick a fight with me, I am only going to fight that fight with one thing in mind, and that's to win at any cost. Ask my wife, ask my children, ask my friends, ask anybody about me. Now, I will beg you, please, I'm begging you, do not pick this fight with me. I don't want to fight with you. Please don't pick this fight. I will beg and plead with you. But if you continue on, I'm going to fight because I don't know what this concept of fighting fair is. I'm going to fight to win. I have no earthly idea what that concept is even about. It's just a buzz phrase to me. I got to be honest with you. When I get angry, when I get mad, I don't even like myself. I promise you, you will not like me. I don't even like myself. So why in the world are the Republicans acting so fearful like a little child? So fearful of fighting, it's like they're fighting with one hand tied behind their back. Here's what I think. I think they started out trying to play nice with the Democrats, and then they become corrupted by learning from them. That's why real conservatives also know the MAGA movement believes we are dealing with a uniparty. Everybody says, oh, we've got a two-party system. No, we don't. We got a one-party system. One is a pack of communists and the other one is a pack of hypocrites. They just play together. Why? Because of the power, the control, and the money. Some people try to sell us on the idea that the Republicans are afraid of retaliation in the future by the Democrats. But folks, I don't buy that. Here's what I will tell you. We have to face the facts that Congress has passed the lowest number of bills passed through Congress in a president's first year. In 2025, the very first year that President Donald Trump was in there, do you recognize that George W. Bush in 2001, his first year, passed 109 bills through? Hussein in 2009, he passed 120. And then they only ramped up from there. President Trump in 2017 was only able to get 96 through. President Biden, AutoPen, Hussein's third term, he could only get 100, he got 122 through in 2021. Guess what? In 2025, President Trump got 5 bills through Congress. Now, here's what I can tell you to do. If you will go to congress.gov, you will see all the bills on that website and see where they're at. There seems to be a whole lot of bills in committee, and you can see the progress of where they all are at, but few have been voted into law. Go to that website, congress.gov, and look at it, and you'll see where, and it's like little arrows going across the bottom of the bill, and it will tell you where that's at in the life of that bill. I saw the website today, right before I began to record, and I think there was 4 or 5 that said passed into law. Now, why would this happen? When we have control of the presidency, we have control of the Senate, and we have control of the House. Why does this kind of thing happen? Because the Republican Party does not want to advance the MAGA agenda. Congress is not getting things changed and getting President Trump's agenda done, and it's all by design, not by accident. Now, I'm going to go back and quote Tim Burchett one more time. He says, we can have a great piece of legislation. It's not going anywhere. You go to the committee and say, what's going on? The chairman says, we'll talk to the staffer. It's under purview. Then you go to the office and he says, generally, some of them are pretty arrogant And it's kind of scary, an unelected bureaucrat who's sitting back there, no name, no face, nobody knows who they are except in the little world that we call government. Then factor in the fact that lobbyist has their ear. A paid lobbyist who's taking them out for drinks, taking them out for nice steak dinners, lobster dinners, taking them out wining and dining, and maybe even an all-expense paid vacation to some exotic fancy place and resort. The lobbyist actions dictate when or if the bill ever gets out for a vote. This, my friend, is the truth behind the scenes of Washington and our corrupt government. I believe it was only last episode that I said some of these senators and some of these congressmen have 40, 50, and 60 people on staff. And yet you wonder why these lobbyists will throw millions upon millions upon millions of dollars trying to get something either throttled back or passed. That's some big money, folks. So instead of fighting for America and passing legislation left and right, they are intentionally moving at a snail's pace, and we are watching them set us up for failure. You see, they recognize the midterms could turn this whole thing around, and that's what they're banking on. I don't think the Republicans really want to win the midterms. Now, if you say, Larry, I think you're wrong, I do. Well, are they acting like champions? Are they acting like they're in control? Are they acting like they want the power? I've never seen winners act like that. You see, they're holding back Trump's agenda and putting America's first agenda, they're holding it back. So, ladies and gentlemen, here are my first 5 reasons why I believe the Republicans want to lose in the midterms. Number 1, winning threatens the very system they all benefit from, dark money. Number 2, Republicans hate Trump and his America's first agenda. Number 3, everything that Trump has accomplished has been by executive order. Go back and listen to that one. There's a lot of power in that one. Number 4, Republicans are not on Trump's side, including Thune and Johnson. And then number 5, as we just covered, rhinos and Democrats are on the same team. It's the uniparty. And you and I have to face the facts. It has happened in America. Folks, I'm giving you 9 solid reasons why I believe the Republicans want to lose in the midterms. You can either think I'm crazy, you can think I'm really smart. I'm probably neither one. I'm just an average Joe in Little Rock, Arkansas, that has his eyes wide open to seeing what happens and what is happening and trying to drill down through and ask myself the questions, why is this happening in America? Hey, one more time, if you like my t-shirt, my Larry's RRR t-shirt, and it simply says America's Only Hope, term limits. If you want one of these, send me an email. Give me your name, your address, the size of shirt that you want, and I'll send you one absolutely free. I've got several of these. Send it to me. I will send it to you absolutely free, no strings attached. I don't have a mailing list or anything else. Don't worry about this. I'm going to get your email. I'm going to ship it to you, and I'm going to probably throw that email away. I'm not going to bug you. I'm not going to contact you. I'm not going to do anything. I don't have time for that. I got a business to run and a podcast to record. So if you want one of these t-shirts, let me know, and I'll certainly get you one free of charge. I hope that you will take this episode, hit the like button, hit the comment button. Let me have your comments. If you can't, send me an email, larryb@larrystrippler.com. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your suggestions, what you're thinking about this whole thing. And then hit that share button and send it off to some friends and family and say, hey, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about these points so far? Go back and listen from point 1 all the way through point 9. And I've got some real doozies coming up. Matter of fact, point number 6, the reason that I believe Republicans want to lose, I think it's really going to be a solid reason that will solidify even these top 5 together. Be sure and join in next episode, and I hope that you will have a great day.